Well, it really depends on how you define both these days, because you know, record companies can range from 100 people in an office or in a building to one person actually dealing it personally. So I think it always comes down to how professional you work and what the quality is you release. The other thing is, in terms of publishers, my experience is that publishers are much closer to the actual artist's idea than mostly the record labels. If you look, as an example, my career, without BMG publishing in Germany, I wouldn't have even been able to start back in the 90s, and big German bands like Rammstein either. It hasn't been the record labels who actually discovered them. It was a publisher who invested in them, and then with that money they went on to actually create something, and then got a deal with a record company. So I think it's really down to how you want to run your business on one hand, and I think both sides, publishers as well as record labels, are still, I wouldn't say necessary, but it's good to have them.
Okay, Armand, what do you think? Because you're very much a man that dived in and started everything yourself.
Yeah, do you need a record company? No. You have MySpace, you can use internet to promote your music, but I think it all depends on what you want to achieve. And I came to a point in my career where, if I look at myself, that I was working with a record company. They were really nice guys, but they had a different goal. And I think that being a DJ at the top level, which is what I wanted to do, I needed a team around me also to promote my records. So for me the goal was to start Armada. I mean, if there's new talented producers here in the room, that's a great way you can promote your music on MySpace. And you don't really need a record company to start yourself off, but I think you do need to make a plan for yourself. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be a cool underground DJ? Do I want to be a top leading artist? What kind of music do I want to play? How do I get my music to the people? That's a question you have to ask yourself. There's many ways to roam, as they say, I think.
They gave us an advance to make an album. The publishing company gave us an advance as well. And that was us for 3 years. We didn't have to work. We built our studio, we worked in there 5-6 days a week and just made our music, and that's all gone now. Some young producer will make an amazing record now, and no one wants to pay for it. They'll put it out and they'll give them a 50% split on the profit, but that's it. So I think it's all changing. I think, for me anyway, the live side, the DJing, is where people are making their money now. They're making records, they're doing remixes, there's no money involved in it. So it's just promotion. So it's a worry.
So you would say, because these two guys are kind of, it's quite interesting. Armand's like an entrepreneur who's basically, he's making his own records, but he's putting out other people's records as well. Paul, I suppose most people do know him as an artist, but he runs quite a successful label. And you're an artist, so would you suggest that you do miss the support of a label?
Well, it's
when it comes to kind of
it's just different now. It's not the same as it was. There's no point sort of looking back and saying, well, it was great then, because it's just so different. I've got my work at Hope Recordings is A&R, and we're selling music all the time. It's just getting people to understand that there's not this big pot of money anymore, and it takes time. But then I worry about the young producers and the artists, because they can't spend 3 years of not working and not make any money making music. So people now have got part-time jobs or full-time jobs, and then they're in the studio all night. So it is difficult, and I think it's very much a case of having to use every single possibility, from your websites to DJing to getting music out to DJs, etc. It's not that we don't need record labels, we don't need our publishers. You need to use every avenue now.